Hello and welcome to this analysis video for the poem Follower by Seamus Heaney from the AQA GCSE English Literature Love and Relationships Poetry Anthology. Let's begin with a reading of the poem. Follower. My father worked with a horse plough. His shoulders glowed like a full sail strung. Between the shafts and the furrow, the horses strained at his clicking tongue. An expert, he would set the wing and fit the bright steel pointed sock. The sod rolled over without breaking, at the head rig with a single pluck. Of reins the sweating team turned round and back into the land, his eye narrowed and angled at his ground, mapping the furrow exactly. I stumbled in his hobnailed wake, fell sometimes on the polished sod. Sometimes he rode me on his back, dipping and rising to his plod. I wanted to grow up and plough, to close one eye, stiffen my arm. All I ever did was follow in his broad shadow around the farm. I was a nuisance, tripping, falling, yapping, always. But today it is my father who keeps stumbling behind me and will not go away. Right, let's begin with the title then. So this is, this is a poem about, in part, idolization of parents, but also the way the relationship changes. And this is, I guess, exemplified in the title, Follower, because the question is who follows who? Okay? If you think about maybe the three stages of life, when you're a small child, you follow your parents. Then possibly midway through, neither follows either. And then at the end, your parents follow you. So there's that kind of element of the following. A follower, there's also a kind of religious undertone. If you call someone a follower, in that respect, they believe, they believe in you, they believe in your message, your word. So there's that kind of undercurrent of the father, because this is a poem about a person's father being almost like biblical in influence to this person. Let's have a look at the first line. My father worked with a horse plough. As I normally do, we have that sort of possessive opening, my father, that sense of connection, maybe a certain sense of pride. Father, we have the patriarch, worked with a horse plough. So we see this very sort of traditional job here, working with a horse plough. Okay, horse plough. There's something almost like antiquated about these actions. His shoulders globed like a full sail strung. So we have firstly this image of shoulders, this sense of power, right? The big shoulders, globe like a full sail strung. We know that, of course, sails guide and propel ships, boats rather. So he's almost like the driving force, isn't he? Between the shafts and the farrow, the horses strained at his clicking tongue. So horses, obviously symbolic animal, symbolic of power and strength. And yet the sound of his father's tongue clicking, they strain, which is a verb to suggest almost like, again, sort of like following orders. So not only is this boy a follower of his father, the animals are too. We have this two-word sentence, an expert, punctuated with caesura, the full stop there, that emphasizes his expertise. He would set the wing and fit the bright steel pointed sock. The sod rolled over without breaking, at the head rig with a single pluck. Right, so we see lots of actions here. He sets, he fits, He rolls things over, right? Again, he is in control. The father is in control. At the head rig of the single pluck of reins, and we'll come on to this enjambment later on when we talk about structure. Put that there so that we have it. The sweating team. Now, the sweating team is the team of horses. Okay, so it's not just one horse that strains. All animals obey the father. He is again depicted in this kind of imposing manner. And back into the land. Again, references to nature, this natural imagery, I guess reflective of Heaney's rural upbringing. His eye narrowed and angled the ground, mapping the furrow. Exactly. I like this view of the eye, this eye being almost like quite a close-up, focused image. And he's mapping, another verb to show connection with the land. Now, at this moment, the eye appears, right? The eye appears. This sort of, the speaker arrives. I stumbled, and the first thing the speaker does is to stumble. There's a sense of being clumsy, or if not clumsy, then young. In his hobnailed wake, fell sometimes. He's falling over on the polished sod. Sometimes he rode me on his back, dipping and rising into the plod. So now we have this kind of intimate image of kind of parental love. I, again, wanted to grow up and plough. That sense of idolizing the parent. To close one eye, stiffen my arm, right? To stiffen, again, to stiffen your arm, to show strength, just like the father. But as we discover, all I ever did was follow. He's not a leader. He's a follower. In his broad shadow around the farm, okay? And broad meaning wide, shadow obviously, again, reflective of his influence. I was a nuisance. We have our third I. I stumble, I wanted, I was a nuisance. Tripping, falling, yapping always. Okay, so there's a sense of the child version of the speaker being sort of rebellious, being difficult. Okay, not the composure of the father. But today it is my father who keeps stumbling behind me and will not go away. And that's where we see that idea of old age, okay? Because now the relationship has reversed. Now, if we come to those very last words there, he will not go away. Is there a sense of burden? Pity? It's left unclear. It's for us to decide. So that's our little kind of breakdown of the key moments. In terms of rhyme, now ostensibly, rhythm, repetition. If you look, plough, strung, furrow, tongue, A, B, A, B. But some of these are, so there's a kind of consistent alternating rhyme scheme. Okay, to show, I guess, the father's own consistency. So often rhyme schemes mimic themes and ideas within the poem. But occasionally there are these half rhymes, like I and exactly, or plough and follow. So the half rhymes reflect the disintegrating relationships, disintegration of the relationship. In terms of repetition, I would talk about the repeated use of I, and each time that I is mentioned, it's to show inadequacy. And there you have a brief discussion of follower.